Hello folks, so this is part 2 of my sketchbook. I broke it up into 2 parts because I didn't want it to be super long of a video. So let's just get back into where we were. So this page is a page about butterflies because I watched a workshop by John Mayer Laws, and oh my gosh, his workshops are just so good. If you have not watched them, please look him up. John Mayer Laws, he's got a ton of videos. They are amazing. So he introduced me to this Tombow brush pen. So this is where I started using it. Here's my Tombow. Pretty cool. 2 colors, so it doesn't take up a ton of space, but you can get some nice tones. Yeah, it's very exciting. Then we got a page on the ruby crowned kinglet, which I gotta admit is one of my favorite birds. They're so tiny, they're so cute, and they just like kind of hang out by themselves mostly. And anyways, they're so cute. So I've been lucky enough to see quite a few of them, and I haven't seen them like ruffle their feathers. I would love to see that. That would be amazing. But I saw this one near my place, a little mini park called Peter Pan Park, which is amazing that it's called that. Anyways, I saw it like kind of jumping up underneath these big leaves and like picking off little insects. And then this was when I went to the park, and I thought there was cedar waxwings because my app kept picking up cedar waxwings. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I can't wait to see it. And I'm looking around, and it says that they travel in flocks. And I'm like, okay, it shouldn't be that hard to find them if there's a whole bunch of them. And then I look up in the tree, and there's a European starling there just imitating the cedar waxwings. So, tricked me. Kind of cool, though. So, yeah, I just wrote some information about cedar waxwings because I would really love to see them. This is my lichen page. So cool. Lichen is just kind of incredible. Like, especially if you look at it with a hand lens. Like, oh, it's like these little worlds. It's so cool. So I went on kind of a deep dive into lichen and what it is and what it's used for, and super cool. And then this was in my character design class, so it was just making a character. This was when I went out wanting to find just kind of random stuff on the ground, nothing too special, but kind of dig deep into what I'm seeing. Excuse me. So I found a little peanut shell, so I drew it in a couple different views. Just turned it a bit, and it was really cool, kind of all the questions that popped up. So, like, there's lines on the inside, and they kind of looked like stretch marks. So I was like, is that what they're from? Is the peanut growing and then these stretch marks come? The outside bit has the 2 layers, and it kind of looks like a Kinder Surprise or a wafer cookie. So that's pretty cool. And then I drew about the smallest bird in the world, which is a bee hummingbird, and it's so cute. And this is like, I think, life size. Yeah, so crazy. They're so tiny, their eggs. It's insane. Then I caught part of John Mayer Laws' live swan class, so that was really cool. And my dad gave me this like a little bird toy that you twist and it makes bird calls, and it was super fun, so that was really cool. And that was the day that I saw my first warblers. We were on the island visiting my aunt and uncle, and in the forest by their place, my phone kept picking up warblers, and I didn't see them at first. And I was like, where are the warblers? But I saw them, so pretty cool. And then page on a little twig. I was having a rough day that day, but it's okay. That's why you do art, right? And then we got some Neocolors. This was drawn with pen first, and I just filled it in. We got a house sparrow. So Sam, my fiance, he saw a bird in the airport parking lot because he was picking up a friend, and he was like, "Ah, what kind of bird is this?" So we took a video, and I was like, "That's a house sparrow," and then I drew it. And then I was working with kind of ink and paint presses. The ink worked a lot better than the watercolor paint, so that was fun. Then I got this book called The Lost Art of Reading Nature Science. It's amazing. It's so cool. There's so much information, and it's taking me a long time to kind of like test it out and try it, but I started making notes here, so that was cool. Got some rocks here that I compared, called them different names because easy to identify. So this is Volcano, which is this rock right here. Pretty cool. Got some like bits on it. And then this was more notes from the book, just trying to understand different concepts for natural navigation. And then this was when I wanted to buy my hand lens, which I did. Now I have it, which is very exciting. And I made a bag to collect a bunch of nature specimens. And then notes on different types of rocks and what that means. Different soil, what that means. Tracks. I have yet to see like clear tracks from an animal, but I will. Then I collected some soil. I wanted to like take that soil and try to make kind of a watery color out of it and try to like paint a little bit just for fun. Then it was my birthday, my 34th birthday. Seems weird, but anyways, moving on. So I was doing a Nature Journal Educators Forum class that day, which was awesome. And then saw some more, oh gosh, ruby crowned kinglets. Wow, my brain just died on me. And I realized that this is like the same photo I'd found for the previous page, or both of them might be the same. So it's kind of funny. And then more lichen and moss. So this was on one twig, you had like 4 different kinds. One was moss, but the other 3 were lichen, which was really cool. So I was just trying to like see all the different kinds I could find, and I found some like curly haired lichen, which was super cool. I think at this point, did I have my hand lens? I don't know. This page was, I grabbed a twig from outside, not thinking about what it was, and then I realized, oh, it's a cherry blossom. So that was pretty cool, because that was during cherry blossom time. A good way to kind of record the events going on. And this was for a nature journaling class I had. We took some leaves, did some rubbings. And then I just took a little branch of something, and I didn't know what it was, so I called it the fuzz finger plant, because it was a bit fuzzy. And this was some notes I took about John Maxwell talk. He's amazing. This is pretty fun. So we went to Alberta for a conference. That's where I took the notes. And we went to this nature sanctuary. And Alberta is not lush with greenery. It is really not. So the nature sanctuary was not filled with like greenery. It was more like everything was like grass, like dried grass. Anyways, but we saw these red squirrels, American red squirrels, and they were the cutest. Kept doing this like crazy like jump on the pathway, and it reminded me of Toulouse from Aristocats when he does this like kind of thing. Anyway, so I tried to record the run. That was really cool. And a red squirrel, different one than this, it like ran into its nest, which was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, nests! And there's no babies, but I think it was just kind of like storing up food. And then it kept doing this like thing and like trying to scare us off. It was pretty funny, but then it wanted food from us, so it was just kind of hilarious. And then this was the pathway that we were on. We were fed some chickadees, but this was the path that the squirrel took. And then this was it coming onto the pathway, grabbing some berries that were already there, and then like jumped off, so it was pretty cute. And then some chickadees. And when we were leaving, we saw a white-breasted nuthatch, which is super cool because they don't live here. The red-breasted ones do, but not the white. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. So there's a little pathway or a little map of us like going to the car, and that's where we saw the bird. So it was very exciting. And then this was when I got into trees, trying to learn about different kind of trees because the book I was reading talks about conifers and I wanted to understand a lot more about them. So I dove deep into the Douglas fir. Pretty strong, so I did a little muscle heat drawing. And it was cool because I thought pine cones were always called pine cones, but they're only called pine cones if they're on a pine tree. So this is a fir tree, so they're called fir cones, which blew my mind. So cool. So this was a fir cone that I'd found, and I kind of dissected it and pulled it apart, did a lot of drawings on it. It looks like a rat butt and tail, the little bits coming off. That was cool. And then I did the bark of the tree. And then this is when I went out, no, that's still on Douglas firs, and then how the needles attach to the stick. That was really cool. And then I was looking at wind direction, trying to see, like this tree didn't have branches on the one side, so that can tell you a lot about wind direction. And then I saw a couple tracks in the mud, and so I drew them. They're bike tracks. So I was guessing that this second one was a mountain bike, and the first one was probably like a street bike or something, or a regular bike, because it was a lot skinnier. And then I saw this crow like go attack a bunny, not attack, but chase after it, and then went after a robin right after, so it was kind of cool. And then this is my period coming, so I was feeling grumpy. Gouache test, I really wanted to do like clouds, but I've been waiting for John Realaws to post his video on gouache clouds, and he hasn't done it yet, and I missed the class, so I was just testing out stuff, so I still need to learn about that. And then this was about painting white things, so if you go around it with another color, it creates that contrast. And then this was from Claudia Nice, and she did some cool trees, so I was kind of copying it to try to understand how she drew it. And then this was the sky outside, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. And that was this was on April 26th, and this was April 27th, so cool to kind of track the differences. They'll just have a little bit of smudging on it. And then drew a cedar tree. Pretty cool. And this was just random. I tried to draw with my fountain pen, but I wasn't really feeling it. These were some nature scavenger hunt ideas, and my plan was to like choose something from here and like post it online and then get people to do it with me, but I have not done that, so I should do that. Yeah. And this was really cool. So right outside my place, my neighbor's house has like this like drain coming off, and then there's a little hole by the drain that these starlings are popping into, and I've just been watching them bringing stuff into the nest, and it's so cool. So the male, he brought, well, I assume is the male, he brought like super big sticks and could not fit inside the hole, and they all fell out, and it was just hilarious. And then the tree, the birch tree right here that they were getting stuff from, I grabbed a twig from there, and I think this was the first day that I had my hand lens. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of go really close and kind of dissect these little plants. So that was cool. And then I wanted to get kind of messy and change things up because for a while my pages were looking like pretty similar in style. I still like them, but I don't know, was feeling like getting messy. So I was watching a lot of Sophie McPike. She's amazing. I did a tree. This was on a walk I went on with my friend Jess, and we fed the squirrels and had this little mini lighthouse thing. So I thought I'd draw that and some clovers. Just practicing with my Neocolors. These were some gesture poses. I was doing an art coaching session, so we just did some birds. And then she wanted to see how I painted birds, so I started doing this, but didn't totally finish. And then more Sophie McPike style. I wanted to get messy with the Neocolors, change things up. And then these are more notes on the natural navigation book. So it says, if you see a field of yellow flowers with short grass around it, it probably means that those plants are poison because animals won't eat that. It's kind of cool. And then foxgloves and poppies grow from upturned soil, and that's why poppies grow on battlefields, because explosives turned up the soil, which is kind of crazy. So the seeds were already sitting there, and then the explosion got them to grow. Here's a little comic I did about a bunch of tea I bought. So I drove all the way out to Granville Island today to buy a new sketchbook for myself. I was looking for a new one of these. And they were sold out of A5 sizes. So I was like, oh shoot, because I drove quite a ways to get that. So to make myself feel better, I went to O5 Tea Shop in Vancouver and bought myself 400 bajillion pounds of tea. Okay, well, it was 450, but still worth it. Because it was a deal and it was like half price, and I was like, oh, I gotta get it. And then this is just loosening up a little bit with drawings, different styles. This is me sitting in my tea bag. And then some more nature journaling classes. So we did a rubbing. And this turned out really well. I was very happy with that. And this was in one of my classes I was teaching for watercolor. We were doing our own project, so I was just kind of doodling some different things. And I ordered a new sketchbook from Amazon, so that came. That's pretty exciting. I was trying to do a water drop, like rubbing alcohol technique, and this paper does not take it. It went through to the other side, like through multiple pages, so not great. But it did work on watercolor paper, so that's good. Bumps and Divots. I did a class by John Mayer Laws. That was pretty cool. And then I was reading in the book about ivy and how originally it will try and go on the north side because ivy likes shade. And so it starts off with 5, like a star shape, 5 points, but then about a ways up the tree, like after it hits 10 years old, it'll turn into this kind of ivy, which is the ivy that likes sun. Sorry, I feel like I have allergies or something, and I'm like choking on my own mucus, so not great. Anyways, I'm just gonna have a sip of tea. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I was looking at this tree and I was like trying to figure out which way would be north and like if it checked out, and it was a little confusing, not totally working. So I was like, alright, I'll keep practicing. And this is like notes from the book about vines. So typically you'll see originally the the vines will go from the front and they will kind of reach around to the back to get to the shade. And then there's generally like bushier on the south side when you're higher up. Yeah, super cool notes. And then this is a prickly lettuce plant that kind of shows you north and south. It like points in those directions. So that's cool. I haven't seen that in real life, but read it in the book. And then dogwood flower, western hemlock. here is when I start to get a little bit, like I want to change things up. So generally when I get to the end of a sketchbook, I don't know what it is, I want to change things. Maybe I've been doing things the same way for too long. I don't know. So I started getting looser with my sketches. Yeah, all these are kind of more scribbly. Yeah, I was ready for the next one. And then I looked at some of Mark Simmons' pages, and he does a very sketchy style with black pen, so I was like, I could do that. So I did this owl that I saw, barred owl. This one's fine, this one's okay. This one's super creepy. It looks like an old lady, a very creepy old lady. So, anyways, yeah. This page I did actually a couple days before that. And I got really into dandelion, and I started like pulling it apart and looking at it with a hand lens, and I tried to make dandelion tea, which I think was a success. Like, it tasted like dandelion tea, but I don't really like dandelion tea, so it's kind of funny. And then the last page, I wanted to get kind of sketchy with the pen, just like I did with the owl. So I did these like tree sketches based on photos I had taken when I was on a walk. And it was really fun. I loved it. And then I finished it on Mother's Day. So that's it. That is my sketchbook. Thank you for watching part 2. And if you haven't watched part 1, go back and watch it. I will give you just a sneak peek of my next sketchbook, just for fun. So this is the cover that I put on it, which was originally on the other one, but I swapped it. So here's the first page. That was when I was teaching a class yesterday. Had some time, and I was feeling very precious with my book. But I didn't want to, so I was trying to get into a more sketchy style with this pen. So I actually really like that. And then I wanted to practice with my Neocolors, so I started practicing with colored pencil and Neocolor, and I was having a lot of fun. This is not my favorite drawing. I think I would have done it in colored pencil first and then added the Neocolors, like this one. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, and I really like these where it's not all colored. And then this is my art supply page, which I had so much fun doing. So I just colored all the, make this center. Oops, sorry about that. So all these I used my pencil crayons to draw the pencil I was using, and then pencil crayons for that, but I did Neocolors for this and for that. So super fun, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm loving this sketchbook already. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, feel free to comment if you have any ideas for things you'd like me to film about. So bye, have a good day.